Greetings and great afternoon. Welcome, everyone. So excited to have you joining us for today's Utopia Talk. Today's Utopia Talk is super special because we literally have multiple team members from the Utopia Global Wellness team joining us today, and we are going to be talking about the topic that is so important for each and every one of us, right? The topic is mental resilience, strengthening global employee well-being. So, we are Utopia Global Wellness. I am Naya Powell, the founder and CEO. I love to take an opportunity to introduce a few of our team members that have been with us since the beginning, which makes us super special. So we have with us Luna Sharma, and she is an internationally certified meditation instructor that brings experience and knowledge from multiple continents. And we also have Mary Steilen, who has been with us. They've both been with us for almost 4 years, which is incredible. A certified yoga instructor. And you will find our wellness instructors on our platform providing live classes every week. And we also have an on-demand library of over 600 workplace wellness classes. Our classes are holistic in nature. We do celebrate global well-being. We know that the month of May celebrates so many wellness holidays, from Mental Health Awareness Month to Senior Health Awareness Month to also Global Employee Wellness Month. So we have blogs that we put out every week talking about all of these different aspects of well-being. And today you're in for a very special treat because you're not only going to get powerful tips and strategies to elevate your well-being, elevate your resilience, combat burnout, but you're actually going to get a chance to participate in what would usually be our classes for today at no cost to you. This is a gift of Utopia Global Wellness to you to practice a little bit of mindfulness with Luna and chair yoga with Mary. And we are intentional about having some chair yoga because we know you may not want to get on the mat between your meetings, or from an abilities perspective, it may not be something that's easy to do or feasible to do. So with further ado, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick moment to introduce our team. So Luna, why don't you kick it off? I would love for you to just kind of share a little bit with us about maybe your background and your journey to mindfulness and yoga and the global relevance as well.
Thank you so much, Naya. This is Luna Sharma, and I'm a meditation and mindfulness instructor, a mind-body practitioner. And to answer your question, what began with something, I come from family of yogis, something that was practiced in our household, but as always, as a kid, you take it for granted, you go other way, and then finally you find your way back. And wow, did I find my way back? This has been something that which started as a practice that I knew from the beginning of time, to a practice I forgot, to came back to, and now I use it as day to day, every minute, every second. That I call mindfulness is not something you sit down and do for a certain amount of time. Mindfulness is an intention that you practice every second, every minute, and that is exactly what I will be teaching today, what I'll be talking about more today, to have an intentional day, an intentional moment, and practice it all the time, because mindfulness is a state of mind, and I enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with everybody today.
Thank you, Luna. And Mary, would love for you to introduce yourself and your journey, your wellness journey. What brought you to the practice of yoga, and also share where you're joining us from. I'm joining you all from Durham, North Carolina today, by the way.
New Jersey for me.
Perfect. Thank you, Naya. My name's Mary Steilen, and I'm joining you from Spokane, Washington. I've been on this yoga journey for close to 15 years. I've been teaching for over 10 years. What led me down this path was kind of physical ailments. Like, I wasn't feeling good. I was doing all the traditional things to have a balanced life. Then I started feeling like aches and pains. So I went into this purely with the intention of feeling better in my physical body. And then I realized quickly that, wow, I'm also feeling better mentally. So I got super excited. I spent most of my time volunteering, a stay-home mom, and then I shifted gears, became a yoga teacher, and quickly started volunteer teaching at alcohol and drug recovery, at women's and children's shelter. And then I led into traditional teaching in a studio, also at a corporate level to help people balance their work-home lives. And I was gracious and lucky enough to be a part of this team. So I'm very happy to share the mental and physical benefits of yoga to all of you.
Thank you, Mary. We have such a phenomenal team, such a phenomenal team. And as we shared, we offer a number of different types of wellness practices. I have to share my personal experience with both mindfulness and yoga. And so these are two practices that I always say, you know, they're the gift that keeps giving. Mindfulness, as Luna said, is a state of being. It's a state of being aware, not only of what's happening around you, what's happening in you, what's happening, your thoughts. Are you thinking what you're thinking? Are you feeling what you're feeling? What are you feeling? A lot of times we're so busy just going through the motions of life that we're not fully conscious. I would say maybe even fully awake, aware, alive. And so it really brings a gift of being fully in tune with the present. I always say the present is the best gift, right? And so I had the opportunity of being introduced to mindfulness while I was at Red Hat. You know, global leader in open source software, was there for over 3 years, working in global talent acquisition, having an opportunity to support the whole team, the whole organization globally, from IT to marketing to sales and beyond. And after being introduced to mindfulness there, I then started doing my own coursework and learning about mindfulness, and then was invited to lead Mindfulness Weekly. And so I was able to lead mindfulness every Wednesday at 11:30. So here we are on a Wednesday at 11:30. And I was able to offer that to the whole organization. But I will tell you, sitting in global talent acquisition and also leading mindfulness was such a gift, because it was a way for me to press pause and give the gift of slowing down, of taking some cleansing breaths, of supporting our self-care, our nervous system, our mental well-being in the workplace. And it's through my journey, not only as a third generation entrepreneur, but as a corporate professional, that I really came to understand the impact of just relentless deadlines, the constant demands that all are leading to this thing called burnout. And so mindfulness is a wonderful tool to help build resilience. And then I'll say around that same time, I was doing a lot of driving, and my body was so, I was just say tight and in pain from the sitting hours and hours. I did, I think, a weekend whirlwind trip to maybe Philadelphia to see family in DC and what have you, compounded with the sitting at the desk all day. Like most of us in America, we are very sedentary. We are sitting a lot, and we're not working. We're rushing home to get on our sofa and then, and to click the remote or what have you. So we're doing a lot of sitting, and this wreaks havoc on the body. I found that the only thing that really helped me was there was some yoga happening in the park. I lived in downtown Durham at the time, and I started going to that, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel brand new. And so these are two things that are my go-to, of course, my gratitude journaling and other forms of wellness, but it really helped me to lean into, more aspects of holistic wellness. And so on our platform, for those that don't know much about us, I'll just quickly share, we not only offer yoga and meditation, we actually have about 10 different types of holistic wellness that are very globally relevant and inclusive. So that spans from Tai Chi to a licensed mental health provider on the platform, to various types of coaching, nutritional coaching, kickboxing, HIIT, and others. And so as we talk about all of that, we know that wellness, self-care, being able to have these little, I would say, self-care tools in your toolkit that you can pull out throughout the day is how we continue to move forward, right? It's how we reset and refresh to get through that day, to get through those stressors. And all of those things are very meaningful when it comes to workplace wellness. So I want to share a couple of stats before we dive in to the conversation even more. So a few of those stats, one of them is from Sharma. And this particular stat states that burnout in the workplace is not new, but it's worsening. I think we're aware of that. Employee mental health in 2024 research, in the 2024 research series, states that 44% Out of 1,045 people surveyed in the United States feel burned out at work. 45% feel emotionally drained from their work, and 51% feel used up by the end of the workday. That's not a good feeling. And it's certainly not a great thing for 51%. Over half of your employee workforce feels used up. So we have to think about what are ways that we can creatively combat that. We also know that that's the stressful part, but there are lots of things that layer into the stress part, right? Belonging, as we are celebrating global belonging in the workplace, is also key. Belonging can lead to a 56% increase in job performance when people feel a sense of belonging, which is why we were very intentional about creating a platform that is very globally inclusive. A 50% reduction in turnover risk. You can reduce turnover by 50% by creating a spirit of belonging. A 167% increase in employer net promoter score. So that means other associates promoting your company, and you're 2 times more likely to see employee raises, and 18 times more likely to see employee promotions, and 75% decrease in sick days. That is the power of well-being and belonging. So let's get into it a little bit more. I have some questions for you ladies before we get into our wellness sessions and actually getting a chance to experience mindfulness and seated yoga. So one of my questions is, as we talk about resilience, what does resilience mean to you, and why do you feel that it's something that's so important, something we're really talking about in today's workforce?
All right.
I'll go ahead and start. Want me to start? Okay.
You go for it.
For me, resilience, I envision a tree and being able to bend and not break, being able to sway with the wind. Storms are going to happen. Things are going to happen, being firmly rooted in our foundation. So trying to be more of a rubber band as opposed to a brittle twig. And that to me is resilience in life.
I like that. Can you say that one more time?
Repeat it one more time. Yeah, being more like a rubber band so that you can bounce back as opposed to a brittle twig. It will break off.
I wanted you to say that one more time so it could really resonate with people, being a rubber band rather than a brittle twig. So I was recently watching a podcast and they talked about that our agility, our flexibility, which is like a rubber band, our ability to stretch, our ability to shift and change, that is a direct correlation to our mental health and well-being. The more flexible and agile we are, it's really a reflection of where we are in terms of our stress state, in terms of our mental health state. The less flexible we are, the more we're likely to snap, to break. We are seeing it happening all around us. So we want to cultivate that resilience. So we can be more like the rubber band, right? So we're not breaking and snapping and fracturing with every scenario. So I love that, Mary. Luna, would love to hear your thoughts on this.
I love what Mary said, and my adjective was just exactly something similar. It was being able to recoil like a spring. So still the agility, still the plasticity, and just be able to kind of come back to where you were. And the commonality I'm noticing is the flexibility. Just like a rubber band, a spring, you're able to recoil yourself, using mindfulness, using little breathing practices to be able to just come back to your center, a place where, I call it a forever calm space. Everybody should have a forever calm space that they can access, and that is something within them. So thank you, Mary. That was really great. And yeah, coil for me, recoiling or a spring-like.
Yes.
If I could add one more thing, there's a yoga quote, "We bend so that we don't break." And I can't give the proper person credit because I can't remember, but I always tell people when we're balancing, and I think this is a good analogy for life, there's movement and balance. So if you think of a tree swaying in the wind, it's rooted firmly, but the branches are swaying. So that's kind of everyone in life. You think you have a plan for the day, something goes in a different direction, you need to pivot and you're moving, but you could still be calm and balanced with practice.
Yes. You know what? My godmother used to say this all the time when something would happen. It could be something would break or something would go off schedule. She would always say, nobody died. And so when you put it in perspective, a lot of things that we get worked up about, it's really a small thing. And we can choose to, let it flow with ease, right? And recalibrate. We can choose that. And so our stress a lot of times comes with how we respond to things that are just part of life. The things that we don't expect, the sudden changes, the traffic, the person that didn't show up, the contractor you were waiting for, the deadline that got missed. It's not the first, it won't be the last. So, we might as well build our resiliency tools, our mindfulness tools, so we can continue to operate with grace, flow, and ease. And that's the season that I'm embracing right now for 2024. And I invite everyone to join me in that season. It's not easy, but it's a mindset. Yes. So Luna, I have a question for you. Can you explain to us how mindfulness practices help us as individuals and employees manage our stress levels and improve our mental resilience? And I want to just mention this. I know you do a lot of amazing work with various populations similar to Mary. And so you not only work with professional and executives, I know you also work with people in crisis. So you're able to actually see how mindfulness practices are able to help people in so many different aspects of life, use that as a coping skill. So when you're sharing with us, share with us, how mindfulness can really help us stay centered and grounded when it comes to stress.
So what I've noticed that whether you are going through an extreme stress like grief and trauma that I deal with, or it could be something like stuck in a traffic, it's always this one beautiful part of our brain called the amygdala or the lizard brain that gets triggered off. And that is something that I always refer to give somebody like an understanding of what goes on in the mind when someone's feeling triggered, and what does mindfulness do to cure that. At least I'm a geek that way, and I like to geek out on these things a little bit. But an analogy I give is that imagine that you have a brain that's a lizard brain, which is your flight and fright, and that's what you use, if you are, say, stuck in traffic or an extreme spectrum of grief. The best way to handle your lizard brain is to bring in mindfulness, which basically means you're now working off your brain of intelligence, which is your hippocampus, your prefrontal cortex. And it is known, and studies have said, that mindfulness actually makes your hippocampus very strong. That is your wise person in the brain. And over time, as you practice mindfulness in the form of whether it's meditation, whether it's living intentionally, whether it's yoga, or any kind of practice, it tends to bring that calmness in you, that plasticity, that rubber band that Mary was talking about, to be able to recoil back to where you need. Whether it is in work settings. And, I like to tell everybody that every day is going to be a new day, and every day there's going to be a crisis. Like, we wish that, we take these yearly vacations and 2 weeks, then we come back to the same, and now what? So we kind of have to make sure that we are able to create an environment for us, that we are minute to minute able to take that little break, that little vacation, especially when we know that every hour there will be a crisis thrown at us. And that's exactly why mindfulness practices come in the picture. They help us, build elasticity. They help us build the resilience, and eventually help with burnout.
Absolutely. There is a book that I love. It's written by Harvard Business Review, and it's called Mindfulness. And I have found this book to be amazing because of what you just talked about, how it really helps to restore brain matter. And I don't think people truly understand the powerful impact of mindfulness. And we also want to just kind of break down what mindfulness is. You know, it's not something that's very, as you say, you like to talk about what it is and what it's not. It's not something that's complicated. So I'm gonna let you share what it is. But
Yeah.
mindfulness has been proven to show that it can actually restore brain matter. And what we often don't realize is that stress affects the brain. When they've done studies, they can see where a person has been under extreme stress. You can see actually black spots on the brain. And so we're multitasking, which is the world that we live in today. It frays the nerve endings of the brain. So the brain looks like tree branches, and it frays those. So when you're thinking that you're being super productive by doing all these things, I want to encourage and I want to challenge you to maybe start creating, I know you already have one, but your to-do list, and give yourself some time blocks that for this 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I'm only going to focus on getting out this email. And then for this 5 minutes or 10 minutes, because at the end of the day, a lot of the things that we're doing don't necessarily have to take all day, but because we stop, start, get distracted, stop, start doing a few things, they take way longer than the actual 5 minute or 10 minute task. You'll find that your brain appreciates that. And they also show that athletes or those that have been in car accidents that have suffered concussions, they have also been able to see the restorative practices of mindfulness and the impact of that on the brain, and that stress for long periods of time can kind of do some of that same sort of damage, if you will. So we want to have more of these restorative practices that are going to help us be healthier, more productive, more fruitful, also less cranky and easier to get along with in terms of our teams and our families and our loved ones, right? So tell us, Luna, what mindfulness is and what it's not.
I'm going to start with what it's not, and that's like breaking a lot of people come up to me. I can't sit down. I can't meditate because I can't even sit still for 5 seconds. But mindfulness is not discipline. It is not trying to be calm. We're no one is saying that you have to be calm. It is not absence of thoughts. That's the other misconception. People feel that you have to be without thoughts when you're sitting in mindfulness or in a state of meditation. What it is being able to access your heart center. And I say that when you are able to be mindful, you actually have a increased access of intelligence, your innate intelligence that you are born with. And you will feel that the more you are giving yourself that time, that deep rest of the mind, the more neurons build up. As you mentioned, that frazzled brain starts to close in and become more cohesive. And again, like everything else, it is a practice. Just like we practiced ourselves into the stressful state by repeating and doing it all the time. With mindfulness too, you have to practice and be patient, because nothing happened over time. You did not become a stressful human being in like a day. It took you days and repeated behavior to get there. Similarly, you have to give yourself that little gift of patience to get into a state of being more mindful and be able to handle access that intelligence that we all have in us. We all are equipped with it.
Right. And it's really, like I said, the art of being fully present. Taking some cleansing breaths, paying attention to how we're feeling in our body, paying attention to the smells around us. Maybe it's our coffee, tea, or candle. Paying attention to even just the person that we're talking to. We can be mindful even in our conversation. Eye contact, turning that phone over, turning that ringer off, getting rid of the distractions. We can be mindful in our drive, whether it's to work or to a family member's home, paying attention to the green trees that are all around us, cracking the windows, smelling the air, being mindful in everyday moments, being mindful about how we're feeling when we start to feel anxious, taking a cleansing breath before our meeting, before that call, when we're on a Zoom, maybe putting a smile on our face before we turn that camera on. There's lots of different ways that we can be mindful, even mindful in the tea that we're drinking, feeling the warmth of the cup in our hand, and that's even calming. You know, so many ways to be mindful, and it helps us to be so much more present, which helps us to be so much more resilient, which helps us to be so much more calm. There is so much power in our peace and being calm. So thank you for sharing that. I'm also going to share a benefit and some of the benefits in the chat. I want to share for those of us that are joining us. Thank you for joining us. Share with us your questions. This is a conversation not just between the three of us, but between all of us. Share with us your questions, your familiarity with practicing mindfulness and yoga, and any questions that you have for Luna and Mary. But Mary, I want to bring this over to you. I want to give you an opportunity to share how yoga also helps us to combat burnout and increase our resilience as well.
Beautiful. Well, yoga, the three key components in resilience you can practice during yoga, and it is a practice, it's not a perfect. Self-awareness, checking in, noticing how you feel. You build a better connection with yourself. Yoga is about connection with yourself. We seem to think it's about these crazy poses and you have to be flexible. Yoga is just about pausing and connecting with yourself. And we learn to self-regulate when we're practicing yoga, whether it is in a chair, on the mat. We notice how we feel. And then if we just notice that we're forcing something or getting frustrated or irritating because we don't feel a certain way or look a certain way, it's a great time to pause, notice, check in, work with what you have. Start with, right exactly where you're at. So we build key components of resilience.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Start where you are. Build with what you have. I also really love when you said did you say it's a practice, not a perfect?
Yes, I always say that.
I love that. I love that because as much as I enjoy yoga and as much as it does my body tremendously well, I'm not like able to hold all those poses for a super long time. I'm not like, a expert yogi. So I do what my body can do, and I love that. I think some people are intimidated by yoga because they think like, oh, I can't do a handstand, or oh, I can't do those poses for a long time. What would you say to Mary for the people that maybe have wanted to try it, but they just feel like there's no way I can do all of that I see on, Instagram?
Right. Yes, I would say be really selective in where you start. It's like you haven't walked around the block, but you sign up for a half marathon. Now, that is going to be a challenge. So let's start with something small.
Yeah.
Yeah, start where you're at. It's not about, I always tell my clients, it's not about the shape we create. It's about noticing how you feel and moving from that place. It's just about connecting with yourself. I think it also in a yoga practice, there's a typical yoga practice. You don't have to do everything at the same time, but typically there's moments of movement, because movement, I call it medicine for the body. We release tension, tightness in the muscles. There's focus on breath awareness. I like to say, and I think I borrowed it from Travis Elliott, a yoga instructor I follow. Breath is breath is medicine for the mind. So we can use the breath to calm our minds, to relax our physical bodies, tap into that parasympathetic nervous system. Maybe we need energy. We could do the same with different breath works. And then stillness. This is everyone's greatest challenge, moments of stillness. That's where we pause, notice, and we really can learn about our tendencies. If our mind's wandering, that's okay. The fact that you notice that your mind's wandering, bring it back. And two key components that we could use anywhere, even in the office. I like to tell my client, I always remind my clients, notice what you feel physically, because those sensations are happening right now, not a week ago, not 2 hours from now. Notice the breath. The breath is happening right now. So if you just focus on the inhales and the exhales, maybe think about lengthening and deepening that breath. Those are two key things, body sensation and breath, that bring you back to any present moment, whether you're at an office desk, a corporate meeting, or in traffic.
Life is in the breath. So when I did my coursework with Rising Spirit Institute of Holistic Health many moons ago, and I did coursework around massage therapy and natural holistic health and healing, um, traditional Chinese medicine was one of the courses that I took. And I never forget that they taught that life is in the breath. And of course, if somebody is in an accident and they're in a crisis state, what do? We check to see if they're breathing. So the way we breathe, the oxygen, the inhaling, the slowly exhaling, that is giving life to everything in our body. And a lot of times when we're stressed, we do the exact opposite. We tense up, we hold our breath, we're shallow breathing, and therefore we're getting headaches, we're getting migraines, and all these things are happening. Mindfulness is a very much a part of yoga practice. It is being in tune with the body. And so I love the fact that we're having both of these conversations today. I'm going to share a couple of strategies before, and then we're going to go right into our wellness experiences with Luna and Mary, and I'm so excited. So I'm going to give 5 strategies for breaking free from burnout, especially cultivating corporate resilience. So we know that the workplace right now, it's been stressful for a while. And so we have a lot of people doing more with less, right? So one of the things that we can do when this crosses over from professional to personal life is purposeful planning. I want to encourage you to take control over your schedule, prioritize your tasks based on the importance and urgency. Everything that comes in your inbox isn't always really urgent, right? Just because it's someone else's urgency doesn't mean it has to be yours. So prioritize your day, delegate when necessary, and create a sense of purpose and direction. Also, a word that I love, setting boundaries. A part of setting boundaries as well is creating and carving time out for this, a wellness lunch break, a walk and talk, get up from your desk and move around. Have boundaries for when you start and stop work. And if it's something urgent, you can always still pause for dinner, pause for your gym routine, your walk, your family connection, and then you can give yourself a set amount of time to come back and look at that again. But set proper boundaries. Healthy lifestyle habits, prioritizing your nutrition, your wellness, your mindfulness, your yoga, your walking, your gardening, your dancing, whatever you like to do, do that. Whatever brings you joy and sparks joy. Also, setting realistic expectations. A lot of times we're trying to boil the ocean. One of the things I also love to do is coach. And when I'm working with my clients, we're talking about goals and deadlines and action items. When working high achievers, sometimes I have to say we don't have to boil the ocean. Maybe we're just going to focus on 1 to 3 things. 1 to 3. Maybe because 1 really is just something that will take 15 to 20 minutes or a day. But maybe the other 2 take some more strategic planning. So don't feel like you have to boil the ocean, okay? Prioritizing your mental health. And that also means seeking professional guidance when needed. Mental health therapists, getting a counseling session. Maybe it's individually, maybe it's with your significant others, maybe it's with your family, but creating and finding those safe spaces so you can get the support that you need. So those are 5 ways that we can really cultivate resilience corporately and professionally and personally. So now let's go ahead and move on in. Let's go ahead and move into why don't we do about a 10-minute mindfulness exercise with you, Lena, and I'll let you take it away from here.
All right, thank you, Naya. So we discussed a lot about taking pauses. We discussed a lot about breath. We discussed a lot about mindfulness. So my practice right now is to give you a demonstration of what does that pause, that breath, and that mindfulness looks like. So having said that, I invite you to exactly where you are, arrive on your seat, starting with awareness of where your feet are. Where is it that you're sitting? And you don't have to close your eyes yet. You're just familiarizing yourself. It's like, here I am. Awareness of the place, your space. So maybe go ahead and glance around where it is that you're sitting. And notice when we do that recoiling, we're actually bringing our awareness to all our senses. And then you start with something called a gaze, or finding a place to anchor. So I like to just let my eyes land wherever, on the wall or on a key on my laptop. I notice that when you create that gaze, somehow the breath just presents itself. It's almost beautiful. And go ahead and ride that breath as you slowly and very intentionally take a deep breath in through your nose. And let your exhale be very time release and intentional. So take your time exhaling like you're blowing out your birthday candles. Another intentional breath in. Imagine you're smelling your favorite flowers. And now very slow, intentional exhale. And if you want, you can here close your eyes or lower your gaze, whatever serves you. And make a little shift to the sounds. And that's always a great place to start with when you're connecting with your senses. So just one by one, notice all the sounds that you can hear around you. And remember, since we're in mindfulness, do not be judgmental. Just noticing sounds, whether pleasant or unpleasant, distracting sound, white noises. And finally, take another slow breath and notice the sound of your own breath, as though you're acknowledging your body. Here I am, living and breathing. From sound, make a shift to the sense of sight. With your eyes closed, recreate the room you're in. And with a bird's eye view, see yourself seated in this moment. And that's a beautiful way to notice yourself. Almost like a third person. Here I am, seated, taking and stealing this moment to myself. What color clothes do I have on? Do I look cute? Or man, I look cute. And notice that smile that just brought to your face. And somewhere in there, you take another slow breath in, and using that as a little sealant, like sealing your presence, sealing this gaze, sealing a sight of yourself, and you gently exhale out. And finally, awareness of your physical presence. So maybe awareness of where your fingertips are. Gently rub your fingertips, wiggle your toes, plant your feet further in. Feel the earth that's holding you today. And that's a beautiful reminder to go to. We are always held by the earth. No matter how crazy our mind is going, how frazzled our lives are, there's always this earth that is holding us. Another beautiful anchor to go to. Feel the textures of the clothes you have on. Even acknowledge anything that's uncomfortable that you're wearing today. Remember, mindfulness. Feel your hair. Relax your jaw. We're holding a lot of tightness in our face, giving all these reactions and expressions. So give yourself this little gift of calm and feel a sense of calm. Just wash down your face. Relax your eyes. Unclench your jaw. Run your tongue through your teeth. Relax your cheeks, your ears. Go ahead and relax your shoulder. Feel this calm just wash down your body. Relax your neck. Take another slow breath in, and as you exhale, go ahead and relax your heart center. If there's any tightness or heaviness in your heart, fuel it with that another intentional breath. And notice how the breath starts to create the space and loosen the tightness. And giving yourself permission to be a little softer. Take a deep breath in one more time. And as you exhale, relax your hips, your thighs, your knees, calves, your ankles, all the way down to the soles of your feet. And this is where you bring your breath back to normal. Notice how this moment is showing up for you. Be kind if your thoughts have taken you to plans and agendas. And very gently, although almost like you bring a little child back, you gently bring your awareness back to here. And finally, you take another deep breath in. On the exhale, you can gently open your eyes. Once again, look around. Bring your hand close to your heart. Here's me. Take another slow, deep breath in, feeling your whole body rise. And on the exhale, you arrive back. I'm going to pass it on to Mary. If any questions, feel free to type them in.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to scoot back to my yoga chair. I'm a 2-chair kind of gal. I'm going to scoot this chair back and go all the way back to my yoga chair.
Awesome.
And we'll do a nice, brief little practice. This is something you could do exactly where you're at. I don't have arms on my chair. Maybe you do. Just be aware of your surroundings. I like to scoot myself forward of the chair so that my sitting bones are right at the edge of the chair. Really ground down your feet. Sit up nice and tall. Allow your hands to gently connect to your legs. And this is where we check in. Just start to notice how we feel, what's showing up physically in the body. Are there any parts of your body that are feeling a little tight, cranky, tense? Just take a mental note. What kind of energy are you bringing to your practice right now? So that breath is a great way to ground and calm ourselves. So we'll start by focusing on the breath. Let's start with a cleansing breath. Take a beautiful inhale through the nose, fill up. Open mouth, sigh it out when you're ready. Beautiful, lips together. Let's inhale for 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Maybe hand to low belly. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Feel the breath. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. A few more rounds on your own. Inhaling to your count of 4, drawing that breath nice and low. Allow your belly to expand against your hand. And then as you exhale for that same count, gently draw your navel into spine, pressing our air out. Beautiful. One more round like that, bringing that breath down low, calms the nervous system, that beautiful deep breath. Good. Hand can release to thigh. Keep that even breath. As you're ready, inhale, gently shift your gaze slightly forward and up to the amount that feels safe for you. And then as you exhale, gently shift your gaze forward and down, awareness to the back of the neck. Beautiful. A few more rounds on your own, your beautiful pace, reaching our gaze up, shoulders down, awareness to the neck, and then shifting it back through to center, chin towards the chest. What do you feel, sense, or notice? Then move in a way that feels good to you. Let's finish off one more round. You tend to hold a lot of tension and tightness in the neck space. Beautiful. After this final round, we'll bring our chin neutral. Good. Let's turn our gaze gently towards the right, any amount. Notice how that feels. And then safely, slowly travel back through to center, just switching sides. Just checking in with the sides of the neck. Beautiful. One more round on your own, your pace, your degree of movement, gazing one way. Good. And then bringing it back through center, gazing that opposite direction. And we'll meet back center whenever you're ready. Just notice what you observed. Let's focus our sensations to shoulders. As you inhale, let's loop our shoulders up towards ears to any degree and circle them back, down, and around. Just give yourself a few more circles here by moving the joint. That's how we lubricate the joints. We allow that synovial fluid to move around the joint to help us feel better when we move. Amazing. Pause after your final round. Let's just switch directions. Let's loop those shoulders 2 or 3 times in the opposite direction. Just kind of notice how that feels. We'll kind of try to hit all those areas that tend to get tense and tight in a daily basis. So good. Find that home base, sit up tall. Notice how that felt. Beautiful. Let's send that left arm up high. Just reach up nice and high. Get nice and long on that left side of the body. Your opposite right hand, it might catch the side of your chair, or you could catch that opposite leg outside. Reach up tall and let's gently lean towards the right, just creating a side body stretch, stretching out all those intercostal muscles inside the rib cage. When they get tense and tight and stay stuck, we can't really breathe fully. Our lungs have nowhere to go. Good. Then bend that top elbow. We'll catch and cradle the head and very kindly bring yourself up and over, ear towards the shoulder for a gentle neck release. We don't want to tug or strain. Treat yourself kindly. It's never about the shape we create. Beautiful. Let's gently release. Bring it all back to center. Notice how that felt. As you're ready, switch sides. Now this side might look and feel different. So we'll send our right arm up high, opposite arm. Opposite arm will either catch side of chair or outside the right leg, and we'll lean towards the left. Really ground down your feet. Notice how this feels, breathing full into that side body. And then when it's time, when you're ready, bend the top elbow, gently catch and cradle your head. Guide yourself up and over for a very gentle neck release. Beautiful. As you're ready, we'll release. Allow your arms to release at your side. Sit up nice and tall. Let's reach our arms out and up. Get nice and tall from your hips to the wrists. And then gently reach your arms out to the side and back down. Soften the shoulders. 2 more times. Inhale, reach up. Maybe we gaze up. Lots of choices. Find what supports you. Exhale, arms soften down. Maybe you gaze down gently. Beautiful. One more round. Reach it up. Good. This time, as we release arms down, let's just circle out the wrists. Give our wrists a little love here. Imagine your wrists are just falling leaves, falling from a tree, nice and controlled. Beautiful. And then notice how that felt for you. Hands to thighs, sitting up tall. We'll work on a little spinal mobility. As you're ready, slide those elbows gently back in space. Lift your heart, lift your gaze, creating a gentle arch of spine. And then from here, we'll slide and send those hands forward. You might catch your knees or close. Chin to chest, navel in, a little bit of a round of the spine. What do you feel, sense, or notice here? I invite you to explore this spinal arch and round a few more times on your own here. Listen to your body. What do you sense? And move from there. Beautiful. Finish off whichever round you're on, and we'll meet back here right where we started. Check in. Notice how you feel. Good. With our arms long at our side. One more time. Let's reach and stretch up. Create space from our wrists to our hips. We'll find a gentle spinal twist. We rotate towards the right from the navel up, and then allow your arms, hands to descend. Catch side of chair, outer leg, just to kickstand your spine. And give ourselves a few gentle breaths here. So when we twist, it's very beneficial for our spinal health. Think about all of our internal organs. We're just kind of wringing them out like a wet rag. And then when we release, we can cleanse and release the blood, the lymph, they flow and circulate to support us. Gaze forward. Inhale, let's reach it up. And you guessed it, will twist the opposite way. Slow, mindful movement, setting up this twist to support you. So there's 6 ways that our spine moves. And by moving our spine in these 6 ways, which we're doing here right now, it's kind of like we're resetting all of our body systems to properly function. Gazing forward as you're ready. Good. Inhale, let's reach up. Good, and let's release our hands to thighs. Notice how your back feels. Start to hinge yourself forward, navel in. Allow your forearms to ground into your thighs. This is our first stopping point. Chin to chest, pausing here. So just notice how this feels for you. We want to make sure our lower back is happy. Maybe chin in a little more towards chest. If it's available and safe, feel free to draw yourself down deeper into a fold. Maybe your hands slide down towards your legs, calves, or ground. Maybe you allow your crown to draw towards the earth. Find what supports you halfway or deeper. Just give yourself maybe 2 or 3 more breaths here. So any type of forward fold is calming for the nervous system. Feel free to shake your head a little, yes and no. And then let's ground our palms into our thighs. Press into feet. Let's slowly hinge it back up with a nice flat back. Good. Draw your hands together at your heart. Thank yourself for showing up for you. Take a moment just to notice how that felt. I always like to end my practice with a quote. So our quote to share together for today's practice is from Desmond Tutu. Do a little bit of good wherever you are. It's those bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. Thank you so much. Namaste.
That was amazing.
That's beautiful. That's needed.
I feel
you enjoyed.
Yes. I would love to invite the audience. Please share with us in the chat how you're feeling. How are you feeling as a result of that wonderful seated yoga session, the mindfulness session? I know I feel so calm, so relaxed. I felt like that was a mini brain massage and retreat for my body. And I could feel the impact of each and every one of those movements. And while you were going through the practice, Mary, I also was thinking about how the twist is really wonderful for our digestive system. We know that there are a lot of people that are suffering from gut health issues and things of that nature, but it helps to just really twist and turn our intestines, our organs, our colon, so just push everything and keep everything moving. So that's for free, things that we can do. Even when you said the stretching up and leaning over and how it stretches out our intercostals and it helps the lungs. I think about one of my great friends that, suffers with asthma, and as the seasons fluctuate and stress levels, how that asthma kicks in. But I want people to know all of these health benefits, how these are things that can really help our body function better every single day, right? So thank you for walking us through that. I see somebody said that was amazing. Any questions? Please go ahead and we'll take a few minutes to answer questions. If anybody has any questions, put them in the chat, what you enjoyed from today's session. I see Lean said, I really enjoyed the mindfulness and seated yoga. I felt much more grounded and relaxed throughout my mind and body. Wonderful, wonderful. If you could offer Luna and Mary, a suggestion for where people can just get started. How can they just get started with maybe that little step in their mindfulness and their yoga practice, even if they're not an expert, or if they need to just get back on the horse? What recommendations do you have in closing remarks?
Mary, you want to go?
Sure. I would just say 5 minutes. Start with 5 minutes of noticing your breath. Just kind of moving in a way that's intuitive, that feels good, and then notice how it feels.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That would be a +2 for breath. And the reason that is, I call it like it's the tool that we're already equipped with. And notice in my practice, I refer to the breath as a friend. And it is truly your forever friend. It is always available. And going back to the amygdala, apparently amygdala can do only two things. Either it can stress or either it can breathe. So if you choose breathing, then it can stress. So that is why more reasons to just use your breath. Start with a simple practice, even just noticing the temperature. The simplest place to start is when you breathe in, notice it's always going to be cool in your nostrils. And when you breathe out, you're always breathing out warm air. And just sit with that observation. Observe it for like 5 seconds, and it becomes 10, 15. And then you're doing a whole deep breathing for a minute. Absolutely the breath.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, as we get ready to close, I want to say thank you, Luna. Thank you, Mary, not just for today's session, but for what you bring to Utopia Global Wellness and our clients each and every day. I think I forgot to mention that we are also partners to United Healthcare. So we're bringing workplace into the wellness into the workplace on so many levels. And so if you are interested in learning more and seeing how we can partner with your organization, please go ahead and reach out to us. You will see in the chat our link tree. Our website is utopiasgw.com, utopiasgw.com. You can also schedule your discovery call and even check out a free trial with us. As we not only are celebrating corporate resilience, again, we're also celebrating global belonging. I want to close us out with just a few tips and strategies that we can incorporate in our corporate workplace on global belonging. 5 ways to prioritize global workplace wellness. And so one is being able to implement employee wellness programs that are inclusive of all of your associates, no matter where they're seated around the world. That's something I'm very proud of. Our first corporate client, subscription client was Red Hat, and we were able to literally touch 5 countries: the United States, UK, India, Japan, and Latam. So we were really able to meet the needs of that global organization and love being able to do that for our partners. Also, recognizing and celebrating maybe global traditions around the world and being able to celebrate those traditions, whether it's holidays, bringing in speakers, talking about different traditions, and so forth. I would also say encouraging cross-cultural learning and collaboration, being able to learn from various teams, their approaches to maybe whether it's marketing, sales, finance, tech, but making sure that those teams are collaborating across the globe. And also being able to really encourage employee and wellness, employee initiatives and contests. So you don't have to keep it centered to one geographic area. Let's see who's doing the most to get out and get walking and getting in steps, whether it's your team in EMEA, LATAM, or APAC, or North America. So, keeping the global synergy going, and also promoting just overall global communication, celebrating global traditions, and hearing global listening circles, hearing the needs and perspectives from your global teams. And another way to do this is, of course, through ERGs, employee resource groups, and also partnering with Utopia Global Wellness. So thank you so much for joining us today. I am going to leave us with a quote as well. Self-care is your fuel. Whatever the road ahead or the path you've taken, self-care is what keeps your motor running and keeps your wheels turning. So let's make sure that we continue to just oil the wheels of our own self-care. Thank you all. Make it a Utopia living day, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Take care.
Be well.